Join History Victorum as we visit the Holy Blood Basilica in Bruges, Belgium. The Holy Blood Church was built above the existing 12th century chapel. The chapel was built during the time of the Second Crusade and is the site of the oldest chapel in Bruges. It is also home to a vial that is reputed to contain the blood of Christ. We'll begin by going through and visiting St. Basil's Chapel. The entryway is found through the archways that are bottom left of the basilica. It was built in the early 12th century, commissioned by Theoderic Count of Flanders, who fought in the Second Crusade. The chapel became a home for the vial that reputedly contains the holy blood. The story behind the vial that is reputed to contain the blood of Christ is that Joseph of Arimathea had wiped some of Christ's blood after his crucifixion and preserved it. Centuries later, the king of Jerusalem, Baldwin III, gave the relic to his brother-in-law, Theoderic Count of Flanders. After his return from the Second Crusade, Theoderic brought with him a vial which he claimed contained the blood of Christ. The relic arrived in Bruges on April 7, 1150, and it was placed in the chapel. An alternate theory of its arrival is that in 1204, during the Fourth Crusade, the army of the Count of Flanders, Baldwin IX, sacked Constantinople. It is believed that he may have retrieved the relic and returned it to Bruges at that time. The design of the vial is consistent with other vials that were produced in Constantinople during that period of time. It is the only fully preserved church in the Romanesque style in West Flanders. And here we are entering the Chapel of St. Ives, which is from 1504 and holds the relics of St. Basil and Charles the Good, Count of Flanders. Here we approach the relics. Charles the Good traveled to the Holy Land in the early 12th century and was even offered the crown of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but declined it. He was assassinated while kneeling in prayer under orders of a powerful family that had been involved in price gouging grain during a famine. The chapel also housed the relics of St. Basil, who lived in Caesarea in modern-day Israel. In the 4th century, known as St. Basil the Great, he was a bishop of the early church and was declared a saint soon after his death. He is remembered for creating guidelines for the monastic life. Originally, the chapel was a private chapel for the Count of Flanders and was accessed from his residence in the current town hall. You can still see the original entrance here, and it is crowned with a 12th century semicircular sculpture, which is the oldest antique sculpture in Bruges. It depicts the baptism of St. Basil. You'll notice on here, St. Basil is being baptized in the Jordan River, and it is being performed by Maximilian, Bishop of Jerusalem, with the Holy Spirit represented as a dove. Here we see the heel, a sculpture of Mary holding the body of Jesus on her knees. Here on the ground, you'll notice two large rectangular pieces with engravings on top of the word sepultura and cups in the center. It is unclear if this is related to the Crusades or if they are tombstones, but it does lend itself to that. Now, if you have any theories on what these are, feel free to comment below. Now we'll be heading up to the Holy Blood Church, using the staircase that was to the right of the entryway towards the chapel. You'll notice that this has vaulted ceilings and stained glass. This was built in the Renaissance style in 1533. You will notice that it is very different from the chapel below. The Holy Blood Church was built in the 12th century in the Romanesque style, just as the chapel below. In 1829, it was rebuilt in the Neo-Gothic style. It was in 1923 that Pope Pius XI gave the chapel and the church the title of Minor Basilica. The main altar is decorated with bas-relief from the 17th century and depicts the Last Supper. The large painting behind the altar is the Mystery of the Cross and is from 1905. On the upper part, Jesus is dying on the cross with Bethlehem and Jerusalem in the background. The lower part depicts the relics being transported with the blood of Christ from Jerusalem to Bruges. On the left side is the collection of the relic by Theoderic Count of Flanders from King Baldwin III of Jerusalem. On the right-hand side, you'll see him delivering the relic to a priest. The vial is held off to the side, and you'll notice here where we've stopped that there is a separate section in that part of the church. Thank you for joining History Victorum. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel.